Hello and welcome to the coding part of lecture 7. So in this lecture we will see how to write code for the React form handling, and we'll see these things, right, what we have discussed in the previous video, that we'll start with the uncontrolled form handling and then how we can make it controlled, and then we'll see for multiple inputs, and then we'll also write some code for improve the user accessibility. Okay, so let's go and start it with our VS Code. So first we need to clone the repository for the React template repository that's I have posted in GitHub. So I'll just copy the address and then go here and then write git clone, paste the address, and then we write the repository name. Here we write React form handling. So I want to create the repository inside the React repository. So that's why you see that I am inside the React repository. Okay. So that's the place that is my current working directory. Okay. And then I see that's the repository is created, React form handling. Let's go inside that. So write React form handling. Okay. Now we'll install the dependencies with just writing npm install, and then after installing the dependency, we are going to start it, right? Npm start, and then it should show the app.js, which is welcome to React. Okay, so it just took some time, but it's came eventually. Okay, so now we want to see our form handling. So let's create an example of React components, say like form example. Okay. Uh, so we'll create a component. The name is form example. So let's create a component. So write function form example, and this function will return. So we write this fragment symbol here. Okay. So now we want to write, okay, what would the input fill in the form, right? Okay, so we can write a tag here. Let's say that that's like h3 tag, that user information form. Okay, and then here I'm going to write a form. Okay, and then form will have on submit event. Okay, so on submit, let's say that we'll call a function called handle submit. Okay, so this function will handle the submit. Okay, and here let's create a widget, input type widget. So let's say that input. Okay, so before that, we can also create the level. Although this is the optional, right? But we want to give a level, so we write level. And then in here, we need to write HTML4. We cannot just write level 4. And let's say that this is the name field. Okay, so we write name, and then here. So input, we just need a self-closing tag. So in input, we say that type is text, um, and then we can give a name is name, and then ID. So that ID will match with the HTML4 name, which is the name, and then we can give a placeholder name as say John Doe. Okay, so that user know that what we are expecting. Okay, so that's our input wizard, and then we need to have a button. Let's say that we write button, and then button type is submit, and then we write a submit. Okay, so that should be our field. If you see that handle submit is not defined, okay, so we need to define the handle submit. Let's go and define it. Say function handle submit. Okay, and that's your handle submit. So let's see that. Okay, so that is gone. So you have the name field and the submit. So right now, if I click submit, it basically will do nothing because we don't have the handle submit is defined, right? So let's say that we define the handle submit. So handle submit, let's take the event that the submit event happened, and then we can take the value of it, value from the input field. Okay, so you write constant, say username will coming from the event dot target. Okay, so where the event happened on the form, and then form has a field name, and then we want to take the value of it. Okay, so um, so the value will be whatever the value that's user enter, right? So that's the username. And then let's say that we want to show this one as an alert. Okay. So usually when our backend will be completed, so we will submit to the server or to the API. Okay. So we can say prevent default so that form will not submit, rather we just want to extract the information and just display as an alert. Okay, so let's say that write the alert and we say that alert should be so entered username is and then we can just write the username. Okay, so with the string concatenation. Okay, so let's see now. So we write, say, if I write my name, and then it says enter username is this one. Okay, let me give a space here. Okay, so we give a space in here. Okay, and then now you can see that if I refresh, and then we say this name, and then it says enter username is this. So this is uncontrolled inputs. Why uncontrolled input? Because we are not using any, we are not keeping the state of that input. Okay. So although this one is working fine, but React developer prefer to use the control input because that is you have the more control, and then there's a less chance of getting error or the entire system breakdown. So let's say that if we go to that approach, so okay, let's copy this one so that we don't need to write the entire thing again. So we'll comment out that and then write the control input. Okay, and here, so using the same function name, same component name. So now we want to use useState method. So let's import the useState. So write import useState from React, and then now we'll initialize the useState. So we write constant, say we have just name field, so that's fine if you directly write the variable name, and then set name, that's the function you're getting from the useState hook, and then we initialize the name to just an empty string. Okay, so that's the initialization. Okay, so we write a camel case function name. So now this one, okay, the name and set name is like this. Now will not take the value from here. Okay, why? Because we want to get the value directly from the name. Okay, because React is now controlling the value of the name. Okay, so you don't need to take from here. So what you want to do that if the user, so we register the value. Okay, so the value will be registered to the name. Okay, so that's the name field. So we write value will be registered to the name. Okay, and then since it's initialized to this one, so we don't need to give this option. Okay, so if you give this, this is just redundant because you already initialized this one. Okay, um, but if you want, you can keep it because that's a good practice so that it has some initialization. Okay, so value is registered to this one. So if there is a value, then it will take from here. If there is no value, then it's just the empty. Okay, and then you also need to write on change. Okay, so on change events. So if there is anything happen, right? So what you want to do? So we can, since this is a just very simple one, we can directly write here. Okay, we can write on change if there is an event happen, and then we'll write a set name method, and then set name method will be e dot target, and then whatever the target value is. So here our target is input, so the value will be set as a name. So name is the variable, so this value will be assigned by the set name function. Okay, so on chance this will happen. Now we'll say entered username, and then this username we will get it from the name field, right? So we write name. Okay, so because the name has the value directly, so you can just print the name field here. Okay, so let's see that whether it's working now. So okay, let's say that if I write my name and set entered username is fine. Okay, um, so so you see that what are the changes we did. Okay, so for the control input state, we say that okay, we'll initialize the state to just empty string, and then if any change happen, the change will be directly will be set by the set name function, and then the name value will be updated, so we can just print the name directly. Okay, so we don't need to get the value from here. So that's the change in the control inputs. Now let's say that you have multiple inputs, right? So then so if you have more fields, then one way that you can maintain the state by creating the use state for each of the field. Let's say that you have the name field and email field. So one is for name, another for email, and but let's say that the form has many inputs, right? So in that case, this is not a better approach. So the better approach is if you use the object. Okay, so let's go to that approach. Okay, so let's copy this one, and then we'll extend this one for setting for multiple inputs. Okay. Okay, so I also need to comment out this. So, okay. And then here is that multiple control input. Okay. Multiple control inputs. So instead of names, we'll write inputs. Okay. And this will be an object. So input, and then the function name will be set inputs. Okay, and then here we can say that this will be an object. Okay, and the other thing that we want to do is that for on change, we'll not write here, rather we will call a handle change function. Okay, so that this function, the one function, can and keep the change for all the fields. Okay, so this is your name field. Okay, so this is the handle submit. Okay, let's call define the handle change function. Okay, so in handle change we say that the event is e, and then we want to take the name field, what is the name of the name field, and then what is the value from that field. Okay, so we'll take it, so like constant name equal to, so we'll take e dot target uh, dot e dot target dot name. Okay, and then we'll say e dot target dot value will be our value from that widget. Okay. And now what we want to do, so we are basically writing this one for multiple inputs. Okay. So now what happened that maybe the one input field is changed, the other is not. So that's why we need to keep all the previous state and then just change whichever has changed. So we will write the set inputs function as, so let's say that we will give a defined name as previous state inside the callback function, and then inside the callback function, so we're defining like this. So since the state is an object, so this is the object symbol, and then we write a spreader here, say the previous state. Okay, so all the previous state is preserved except the one that we want to change. So you say name, so the name is an array because the name field is dynamic, because the name can be changed for input field name. The name field is name, the email field name is email, and then you have checkbox which has the different name, right? So that's why the name is dynamic, so that's why inside the array, and then value is here. Okay. So handle change is this one. Okay. And okay, so let's see. Now we have just one input. Let's see that this one is working, and then we can just extend for the other field. Okay, so let me see that whether all the changes are done. Okay, so the value should be here is inputs dot name. Okay, because now you see that we don't have any just one variable, we have an object. So we want to print the, so when we write, we want to print inputs dot name. Okay, so this is the one that we want to display. Okay, so and in the handle change, we will see that what is the name field is, what is the value field is. Okay, and keep the previous state and change that whatever the change we have done. Okay. So in here, the value is registered to inputs.name. Okay. And then on change, we're calling the handle change. So here we are writing this one. So this function will work for all the widgets. Okay. So now I'm just checking that whether this field is working. So if I write my name here and it's working fine. Okay. Now let's say that we extend this one to another input. So we'll copy this portion and then write another one. So write level HTML4. So this is, let's say that the email. Okay. So and then we write this one as email, and then input type will say email type, and then name is email, ID is email. So ID should match with the HTML4. Since we wrote email here, we should also write here. And the name field is email because we want to give the same name for the wizard, so that we can understand that the field is email. Okay, so and then here we'll say the value should come from inputs.email. Otherwise, it will be just initially empty. Okay, and placeholder, you want to give a placeholder email is a John, say John Doe at gmail.com. Okay, so it's just a placeholder email. That's okay. And then on change is the handle change. Okay, now so this is the inter username, so you want to print the username, and let's also that you want to print the email address as well. So if you write a string here, so write and email, and then you want to print the email, so write inputs dot email. Okay, so input is the object, so we have name field and the email field, which is we created here, right? We could also create in here, we could say that name colon empty and email colon empty, because that's the initialization. Since we did the initialization in here, so it's fine. Okay, So now let's see that whether we can also see the emails. So you see now a name field and the email field, right? So let's say that I write the name field is Nawaz and then email is this one. And if I click submit and says intent username is this and email is this. So this is working fine, okay? So now let's focus on some accessibility. So you see that after entering, you still have the previous input, right? So if you want to get rid of that, so we can say that after send the alert, you can say that set inputs will be just empty, okay? So we set the inputs to an initial stage. So let's see that if you refresh. So say that I write my name and my email address, submit and set enter username is this, okay. And then after okay, so you got your previous stage back, okay. So now it's gone. Now the other thing is that the autofocus thing. So right now there is none of them are focused, right? So if you want to do the autofocus to the name field, then we can say that we can write this is the autofocus. Okay. So now if you see that if you refresh and you see that this one is the autofocus. So this one is focused now. If I write the name and the email and then okay. So it's working fine, but then the focus is gone. So if you want to get your autofocus back, then we can write that after the set inputs, right, we can write event dot target dot name dot focus. Okay, so target dot name is the focus. So see that if I write, okay, let's refresh it, uh, and then we say numbers, and then this one, and submit, and this, and then after that, the autofocus is back in here. Okay, so you see that now user can whenever come, and then it's automatically the cursor is there. Okay, so they don't need to manually take the cursor. The other thing is that the record field. Let's say that you want the field to be record. So we say that this field is record. Okay. And then we say that this field is also record. Okay. So now if you try to submit, and it says, okay, you need to fill up this. Okay. And then if I try to submit here, and then you also need to fill up this. So if you just write something and then, okay, so this is the email field, so you cannot just write like this, okay? So these are some, form handling is done by the HTML. I mean, obviously we can do more. We can check more like, okay, what is the length of the name field that you want? And then if you want to match with the regular expression of the email, and then if you want to take the password, what should be, whether you want the uppercase, lowercase, combination, the length field, and all this thing you can do also with the JavaScript, okay? So that's probably we can see in the future video, but not in this one, okay? So now if you click submit, and it shows here. The another minor things that is came to my mind here is that we don't have enough space in here, not enough space in here, not enough space in here. So it's basically the CSS job. So let's say that if you can quickly write some CSS here. So let's say that submit button, input type submit, and then we put them in a class, say class name is submit, okay? So let's go to our CSS file. So we have the mydesign.css, and then here we write, okay, what was the class name? I guess it's submit, okay? So let's go and write the class submit, and so that's your selector, and then we'll say that background color is black, oh sorry, blue, and then text color is white, and then we write So you want to give some space. So left margin is, oh, sorry, margin left. Property name is margin left is 5 pixel. Okay. Now, if you see, that's how it looks. So now we have some space in here. We also want to give some space for this field, right? So email and the name. So let's say that those are input types, all right? If it is an input, and then input selector, we want to give the margin left is 5 pixel, okay? So now if you see that, so we have a, oh, so this is basically level, not the input type, okay? So we need to, oh, okay, input type is, yeah, they got some space here, so that's fine. We also can give the same thing with the multiple selector with the level, okay? So both the level and input will get 5 pixel on the left side, okay? So now it's better shape, okay? So you have some space here, here, and here, okay? So now you see that we have some form handling. We also work a little bit CSS, and then we also create multiple inputs with the control state using Reacts, okay? And then the code will be available to the GitHub repository and you can access it, okay? So this is the whole thing, okay? So you see that you can easily, so after writing this part of the code, right, you can easily can just keep increasing your field. Right now we have email and name field. Let's say that you create the password field, and then this part will be as it is. You don't need to change anything. Okay, you don't need to change this one as well. Okay, so this one, if you want to display other value, then you need to change. Otherwise, is okay. Okay, so so now it's up to you that how many fields you want to create, and then you can also create for text area. You can also do for checkbox and radio button as well. Okay, so that's it, and see you in the next video. Thank you very much.